Laodicea was about a 20-minute drive south from Hierapolis, and if I hadn't been paying attention, I would have almost certainly missed it. Only one or two signs even let me know I was headed in the right direction, and there was not a single tourist in sight. Laodicea is not on the Asia Minor star maps. In fact, the city's somewhat lackluster ruins sat on a lonely and uncultivated countryside. Compared to the towering ruins of Hierapolis, Laodicea was a bit of a letdown, until I realized that much of the city lay mysteriously underground.
Now, if you come to the ancient city of Laodicea, what's going to set it apart is that none of this stuff is even excavated yet. Look at this Roman archway. Most of it is underground, and they don't take care of the place. I probably have about 12 briar thorns stuck in my feet from walking around. You're not going to see tour shops or t-shirt stands in Laodicea, which is kind of exciting because that means that so much about what we're going to find out about Laodicea has yet to be discovered.
One prominent feature in the ruins you can see is the Roman archways.
Well, clearly I trust the Romans. I'm laying down on this trademark keystone that's been wedged down between these huge boulders to make sure they don't go anywhere. And this makes a traditional Roman archway. Now, the Romans horked this idea from the Etruscans, and it gave them the ability to build things like aqueducts and roads and bridges. Anywhere the Romans went in the ancient world, you're going to find these traditional Roman arches. Now, the great thing about the keystone is that the more weight you put on them, the tighter they all get. So really, the keystone makes gravity your friend.
The innovative concept of the more weight, the stronger the arch revolutionized architecture. That's why three-level structures like this massive aqueduct and the gigantic Colosseum in Rome didn't crumble under the untold tons of compression force. And since the Romans were the first to invent concrete by using lime, volcanic sand, and special clay, they could take these designs and build them anywhere they wanted. Arches required less costly building materials and fewer skilled laborers than the more sophisticated Greek-inspired columns we looked at earlier. They're also a perfect example of working smarter, not harder, and gave Roman architecture a signature look that we still admire and copy. Today, buildings are designed with sophisticated mathematical precision to account for everything from snow to wind to earthquakes. But the Romans weren't that good at math. Seriously, ever tried to do long division with Roman numerals? Nevertheless, hundreds of Roman structures are still standing to this day, so they must have been doing something right. Now, Laodicea was the end point for several Roman aqueducts, making it a commercial boom town in Asia Minor.
The three L's of a successful ancient Roman city are location, location, location. The city of Laodicea, the ruins of which are all around me, sat smack dab in the middle of some of the most prosperous areas of Western Asia Minor. 15 miles to the north, Hierapolis. 10 miles to the east, Colossae, whose cold water springs bubbled up and fed into this region. The Lycus River flows next to Laodicea, which made the textile industry extremely prosperous. Clearly, the Laodiceans felt very secure in their wealth and their prosperity.
And why not? By the time the Romans took over, the city was thriving. It was known for a flourishing banking industry. The textile and wool trade was a cash cow for the Laodiceans, and there was even a lucrative medical school that developed ear and eye ointment. They had money, sold nice clothes, and produced eye medicine, which is ironic since the city is called poor, naked, and blind in the New Testament book of Revelation. In fact, of the 7 churches addressed in the Apostle John's letter, the only one to whom Jesus has nothing positive to say is the church in Laodicea, and he uses imagery that would have hit the Laodiceans right between the eyes. He tells them this:
I know your works. You are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth.
Do you get the picture? Laodicea knew the therapeutic value of hot water. Their neighbors in Hierapolis had built an empire around the precious resource. They also knew the value of cold water because nearby Colossae was known for its fresh cold springs that bubbled out of the ground. But the Laodiceans produced neither hot nor cold water, and many historians say the water the aqueducts brought to Laodicea only provided water that was tepid and tasteless, not really valuable for anything, not to mention a little repulsive. So the comparison of the Laodicean Christians to lukewarm water would have been for them a profound criticism. Jesus wanted his followers to be fully committed and useful for his purposes, and the half-hearted Laodiceans were offensive to him and useless for his kingdom. But Jesus had intended his church to be countercultural, with a presence and a message that would stand out and change the world, not be changed by it, and certainly not be compromised with the culture around it. Apparently, many of the Christians in Laodicea had sold out to the culture. It had become a city so blinded by affluence that it couldn't even see its own precarious position in world history. The city of Laodicea, by the time of the Middle Ages, was completely gone, with nothing left but a small hill of unnoticed ruins.